Story of 9/11 is not the story of 9/11.
You, a congressman in the United States Congress who served for many years, somebody who was there at 9/11, who was a firefighter who knows buildings, is telling you that those planes could not have brought down those buildings.
I was at the Trade Center the day after. I was at Ground Zero, and we even heard the truth.
And has a building come down from a plane hitting it?
Well, first of all, I am a firefighter, and I was a fire chief. I have a degree in fire protection, and my job for that insurance company was to train our inspectors that inspected high-rise buildings and commercial buildings. There's never been a high-rise building in the history of the world come down because a plane hit it. Never. And listen to Battalion Chief Oriel Palmer. They get to the 78th floor of impact, and you hear Chief Oriel Palmer say it's clear as day. We're here. There were only 2 fires, and we can handle them. 1 minute later, the entire building collapses.
How is that possible?
Because it wasn't done by fire. Bin Laden wasn't in Afghanistan. Our intelligence agency had placed him in Iran. We placed Bin Laden in Iran while we sent kids to die in Afghanistan, looking for someone who wasn't there.
And you have those evidences.
I have all the evidence and facts. All they can do is kill me. And if they kill me, I'll surround the CIA headquarters with 500 fire trucks, maybe 1,000 fire trucks. No producer will be allowed to tell your story. No publisher will be allowed to tell your story. Because I was taking on the system. We've lost control of the country to people that don't reflect what America's all about.
All right, real quick, before we begin this amazing podcast that's going to blow your mind, I just want to tell you something very important. Over the years, many brothers have come to me and said, how can they earn more while still pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without compromising their deen? Because you may have a great career, you may be making money, but it's sacrificing your time and your freedom. You feel like you're trapped, like you're not spending time with your precious family and your children. This is why Abu Lahya, may Allah bless him, is mashallah giving you a great opportunity to learn that skill set, how to have halal income earning skills, and just for right now, he's giving it to you for free. So may Allah bless him for that. Take advantage of this valuable opportunity. So if you're a Muslim and you want to start a halal business, block out 2 hours this Sunday, and every Sunday he's dedicating this free for you, 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern US time. Abu Lahya is holding a free live masterclass. This is not a shortcut. This is not a pyramid scheme. This is building halal businesses with discipline, effort, and consistency. You get from it what you put into it. If you're serious about improving your situation, spending more time with your family, building a halal income that aligns with your deen without compromising, no haram, no compromise, then register for this free masterclass through the link below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're back with the D3 podcast with a very special guest today. And I'd want to introduce Congressman Curt Weldon. First, just a little bit about his contributions. Somebody who had been in the U.S. Congress as a Republican, but I see you were always very open-minded to reach across the aisle. He has written many award-winning books, Awakening the Sleeping Giant, and this is about the political power of the firefighters in America. But he also has an amazing book that is called Countdown to Terror. And this is a book that the congressman wrote showing how the top secret information that could have prevented the next terrorist attacks in America were ignored on purpose by the CIA. Amazingly, that has also been translated into many different languages, including Farsi. And he has a book coming out called Able Danger, which talks about 9/11 and how the intelligence agencies in the United States had information that they hid. And much of the story that we've been told about what happened with the planes and Muslims and Saudis is misinformation. That is not facts. And this is somebody who was the head of intelligence agencies, somebody who has been privy to information from the highest level of security clearances, a man from the U.S. House of Representatives. I want to welcome you, Congressman, to our podcast. Great to be here. And tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Assalamu alaikum. Sheikh, it's a pleasure to be with you. And welcome to Pennsylvania and my hometown, where I was born and raised, the youngest of 9 children. As a teacher, I worked hard and also was a volunteer firefighter. And then I was able to serve as the mayor of my community, chairman of my suburban county of 600,000 people. And then I spent 20 years in the Congress. In the Congress, my focus was on strong support for our military and defense, but my ultimate focus is on stopping war and
Amazing.
building bridges with people. I led delegations to 104 nations, including all the Middle Eastern countries. I was the founder and chairman of the GCC Security Caucus with the GCC countries. I was the chairman of the Kuwait Caucus when Kuwait was invaded, and risked my life in Kuwait. I've been in North Korea 3 times.
Wow.
I was in Libya 3 times with Gaddafi, Afghanistan with the leadership there, all the problem countries, because again, my goal was to avoid war.
Amazing.
And to understand that most of what I saw were the problems were not caused by the people. In most cases that I visited, they were caused by not our agencies, because we have good agencies, but we have some bad people in those good agencies. And those bad people I had to deal with, and they did bad things, resulting in the loss of massive lives, including 9/11 and other attacks that never should have occurred. And my goal now is the last thing in my lifetime. I'm not out to make money now. My goal is to expose those people,
That's very important.
to hold them accountable.
So tell us about that. You were there the day after 9/11. You were on the ground as somebody who has headed the caucus for the Firefighters of America. And the firefighters were the heroes that went in to save lives on the day of 9/11. We lost over 300 firefighters. Was it 380 somewhat?
43.
343 firefighters.
But now a lot more since they've died.
Right, because of the smog and the smoke and then what they inhaled. Can you tell me, those first responders who got to the buildings before anybody else, did they feel that the planes hitting the buildings are what brought those buildings down?
No. Clearly, we were caught up in the emotion and the spin created by our agency with the media to make us believe a narrative that was false. Even I got sucked in. And I'd been to the Trade Center in 1993, the first attack. I spent the entire day there with the fire chief. The fire commissioner was Howard Safer, and the fire chief was Ray Downey, who became my good friend. Ray was killed on 9/11.
Wow.
I worked closely with the fire department of New York. In fact, Mario Cuomo called me at one point after I did a floor speech working with the fire department. I wrote the legislation to create the Gilmore Commission. The 9/11 Commission doesn't even mention the Gilmore Commission. And
Why
they
is that?
Because it was a cover-up. It was a
So you
cover-up
believe
of
the
the facts.
9/11 Commission was a cover-up?
Absolutely. A cover-up to drive a narrative.
So we as American people and people in the Middle East and the world have been lied to.
When you see the facts, when you understand what really happened and what now we know is available, and the people that they did not, and they ruined lives of people. We
Yes.
have 10 career intelligence officers who are coming out with me this fall, who are stating on the record that their careers and their lives were harmed and ruined.
So you're saying 10 career intelligence,
Yes.
top Pentagon, White House, Congress, intelligence,
Simply doing their job, and they were harassed and lied to
because they told
were,
the truth.
They were told the truth, and and I defended them, and the irony is this: in 2000, the year before 9/11, they wanted me to run for chairman of the Armed Services Committee.
Wow.
I have 180 letters from people, including Donald Rumsfeld
Wow.
and Deputy Secretary of Defense under Clinton, John Hamre, all endorsing me to run for chairman. And then 9/11 happens. I said, wait a minute. You're not letting us find out the truth here. I was up there. I was at the Trade Center the day after. I went up there with my friends at the fire department. I was at ground zero. Those buildings didn't come down because a plane hit them or fires. That's never happened.
So
and we need to know
never
the truth.
In history, has a building come down from a plane hitting it?
Well, first of all, I am a firefighter, and I was a
Right.
fire chief. And besides teaching, I have a degree in fire protection.
Okay.
And I spent 20 years after teaching working for the largest insurance company in North America.
Wow.
And my job for that insurance company was to train our inspectors that inspected high-rise buildings and commercial buildings for insurance. So I know something about buildings and codes. There's never been a high-rise building in the history of the world come down because a plane hit it. Never.
Wow.
There's never been a high-rise building in the world come down because of a fire.
Never.
Never. If you look at the MGM Grand, which
Yes.
burned for 8 hours in Las Vegas, it's still being used.
Yeah, still there.
Those buildings were not brought down by fire. And the firefighters, there are film footage that your viewers can get a copy of. If they listen to the firefighters talk about explosions, the planes allegedly hit the 78th floor. The explosions are on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th floors. The most important film. And I'll say this to your viewers, if they contact you or contact me directly, they can get my information online through LinkedIn or whatever, or through you.
We'll put in the description.
I will send them the film called Bravo 7 for free.
Calling out Bravo 7.
Calling up Bravo 7 has the real words of real firefighters.
Wow.
Listen to them. Listen to Battalion Chief Oreo Palmer as he arrives on the first building and takes his crew, each carrying 40 pounds of gear, in the elevator, going up to rescue people. They get off on the 40th floor. You hear them say in their radios to command center, we're walking up the stairways. We're on the 50th floor. It's okay. 60th floor. It's okay.
Wow.
They get to the 78th floor of impact. 78th floor. And you hear Chief Oreo Palmer say it's clear as day. We're
Wow.
here. There were 2 fires and we can handle them. 1 minute later, the entire building collapses
How's that possible?
because it wasn't done by fire.
And it wasn't done by planes
No.
hitting it. So this story that
But
we're
that's
told,
not what we talk about in my book. But I'm telling you, the story of 9/11 is not the story of 9/11.
Oh, this is exclusive for the D3 podcast. But what we're saying is, you, a congressman in the United States Congress who served for many years, who was in the intelligence community, who has been communicating with top officials that were in the intelligence community, somebody who was there at 9/11, somebody who was a firefighter who knows code, who knows buildings, is telling you that those planes could not have brought down those buildings.
No. What I'm saying to you is, and I don't. What we don't want to do is get sucked into the conspiracy theory that the intelligence agency likes to spin. They have whole courses that they teach agents how to spin the public into believing something. I don't want to get into that.
No.
What I want to focus on is one thing, and this is my book focus on. I want to focus on the lies. The lies by U.S. intelligence leadership. Not all of them, because I have good friends in intelligence,
Right.
that manipulated the facts and hid the evidence that showed we should have done more investigation because we knew in advance. In fact, these 10 career intelligence officers tried to transfer information 3 times and were blocked. That could have prevented 9/11. The same thing they could have prevented the attack on the USS Cole. So someone wanted those attacks to take place. Why? I guess to justify sending our kids over to war overseas. Maybe that's the case, or maybe it was incompetence. That's something to be determined. But the lies were done in the U.S. by U.S. citizens. They need to be held accountable for treason.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about foreign governments.
No.
U.S. citizens held for treason, for lying to the American people, including me. They need to be held accountable
Yes.
in a court of law for treason.
Yes. 3,000 Americans died there. 342.
343
Three
firefighters
firefighters.
died at 9/11, including friends of mine.
Over 1 million Iraqis died in the first wave of the war. 2 million later.
It gets worse
after
than that. It gets worse than that. 343 firefighters, 2,977 responders and victims died at 9/11. But George Bush, and I'm a Republican, got up on that steel and put his hand up in the air. We're going to get you, bin Laden.
Yes.
So we sent all these kids over to Afghanistan.
American soldiers.
Bin Laden wasn't in Afghanistan.
Where was he?
Our intelligence agency had placed him in Iran, in Baluchistan.
Wow.
In my book, I have all the details.
Wow.
We placed bin Laden in Iran while we sent kids to die in Afghanistan. 2,500 American kids came home in body bags, and 3,500 American contractors, including 18 CIA operatives, came home in body bags from Afghanistan looking for someone who wasn't there. And a handful of people in the U.S. knew where he was. He was in Iran.
So Bin Laden was in Iran.
He was
during
in,
the
he was in
time.
Baluchistan.
Irani side of Balochistan.
He was in Baluchistan. And I had 10 silver bullets. As the vice chairman of the Defense Committee, I did 2 hearings. And Democrats gave me the information. People like Jack Murtha and Ron Klink. Ron Klink's still alive. These aren't Republicans. And this was done under a Republican leader, George Bush.
Wow.
He should go hide his face in shame.
Yes.
And I'll debate him anytime. So on your show, I challenge George Bush, debate me. Debate me.
Yes.
Without notes.
And you have those evidences. You
I have all the
of
evidence.
that.
I have all the evidence and facts.
Wow.
All they can do is kill me. And if they kill me, I'll surround the CIA headquarters with 500 fire trucks, maybe 1,000 fire trucks. The firefighters of America aren't going to be used anymore as pawns
Yes.
by some pencil-pushing anonymous person sitting in CIA headquarters. That's not going to happen again.
And the longest war in American history, the war in Afghanistan, an absolute disaster came from that.
What's happened here has changed the world, and we're going to change it back. I've never met Donald Trump. I don't know the man. I want to try to help him, but he's surrounded by people that have insulated him. I'd like to get to him. But I'm going to tell the story either way. And I have people behind me that are very credible people. When Louis Freeh, the former head of the FBI, writes an op-ed, which he did in the Wall Street Journal, saying the 9/11 Commission didn't tell the whole story, when he goes on national TV and says that on Good Morning America, which he did, when General Jeff Lambert, the head of our Special Forces Command, says that they knew within seconds who did the attack by our intelligence, that means somebody's lying and covering it up. All that's coming out.
And this is very important that you guys share this video and get this information out there because the truth has to be told.
You know, the important thing this year is, this is the 25th anniversary of 9/11.
Yes.
I was at the Trade Center in 93. I went through the grief. I walked through the bombed out parking garage. I worked closely with the fire department, became good friends. My really close friend died at 9/11, Ray Downey. I didn't wait to do something afterwards. I brought Ray's widow and 5 kids down to my district 1 month after 9/11. Not a year, not 10 years. I didn't do it to raise money. I got a bus and brought a luxury bus to bring them to my district, the entire Downey family. And I had 50,000 people parade in my district in honor of Ray Downey and the American heroes from the fire department of New York. 1 month after 9/11, because I knew that never should have happened. Firefighters were killed. This is the 25th anniversary, but it's also the 290th anniversary of the American Fire Service.
Yes.
40 years before America was a nation, Benjamin Franklin started the Union Hose Volunteer Fire Company in Philadelphia. 40 years before. It didn't take government to organize it. People came together, and when people come together to protect, they don't care who you are. If your house is on fire, if you're stuck in a car accident, they don't ask you, are you Muslim? Are you black? Are you poor? Are you rich? They're going to risk their life to save yours. And it's time we stop stepping all over these people.
Yes.
The firefighters always get blamed and they walk away because they do their job. And I'm not going to let that happen.
No more.
No, no more.
Yes.
I'm standing up for every firefighter in the country.
Nice.
No more games being played. That's what we did. 343 of them died, many more afterwards. And look at California with the fires they had out there. Who did the mayor of California fire? She fired the fire chief, and it was a female.
Yes.
They blamed the female fire chief after they cut her budget 20%. You can't do this. It's got to stop.
It's got to stop. And then we see the Islamophobia that came out of it, the hate that came out of it, the wars that came out of it, the millions of lives that were lost, the refugees, the Syria, Iraq crisis, Afghanistan, 20 plus years of war, all because some people in the intelligence agencies lied to the American people for a political interest.
This all started in the 90s. I saw it happening under Clinton. Clinton was more concerned with making money. Both he and his wife, all they cared about was making. She sold uranium to Russia. I mean, cut me a break.
Yes.
Bill Clinton made hundreds of thousands of dollars in speeches in Russia.
Yeah, they make hundreds of millions.
They were milking money from Yeltsin.
Yes.
I did an investigation that the CIA tried to shut down, and I had a bipartisan delegation in Moscow, and they sent the station chief to the meeting, and they couldn't set it up. His name was Stephen Kappas. I threw him out of the meeting. I said, get out of here, because you lied to me. I'm not afraid to name names.
Nice.
It's got to stop.
You have to drop those facts.
It's got to stop. We played games. We allowed these people to make money while Americans die.
So pre 9/11, the 90s, they were already planning this.
The 90s was when they really got control because the Clintons wanted to make money. And then Bush comes in, and I was a big supporter of Bush. And his father did a tribute to me.
Wow. And you're a Republican, right?
I'm a Republican, but Bush wasn't in control. It was run by Cheney, by Rice, by Rove, and by Rumsfeld. Interestingly enough, let me just say this quick story. I took the first 3 delegations to Libya to meet Gaddafi. And I did that because George Bush said publicly that Gaddafi was going to give up his weapons and wanted to become friends with America. So I said, that's a good sign. I was taking a group to meet our troops in Iraq. So I said, you know what? We're going to stop in Libya on the way. The White House didn't want me to do it, but I said, we're going to do it. And I was vice chairman of the Defense Committee. So we stopped in Libya for 2 nights. And I met with, not me, my delegation, 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, met with Gaddafi.
Okay.
And I said, you know, Colonel, we're here not to praise you. We're here to say, you know, what you did in Lockerbie and admitted to was wrong, but you said you want to renounce terrorism, give up weapons of mass destruction. That's a good thing, and our president has praised you for that. He said, Congressman, I don't know why it took so long for an American to come sit with me, but I'm glad you're here. I said, well, I've only been in Congress a few years. He said, I don't want war with your country. I've renounced terrorism. I'm doing everything your country wants. He said, all I want to do is I want to become the head of the African Union, which he did.
Right.
And I want to unify the African nations into one economy, which I try to do.
Which is good.
And I want to base our economy on the gold standard.
Wow. So go back to gold.
So what Gaddafi wanted, the West wouldn't accept. That's why we had to kill Gaddafi. But what was interesting, and I got to tell this story, in that first trip, they had a luncheon for us out next to this water reserve where Gaddafi had built this clean water system throughout the country, moving pure water for drinking and sanitation to the people in the deserts. It was really impressive. Gaddafi wasn't there, but all of his cabinet members and leaders were there with us. And as we're having lunch, we saw this huge 14-foot high concrete pipe.
Okay.
And we walked over and got our pictures taken. Why would this pipe be in Libya? And that's how they move the water through the desert areas. I said to them,
But Libya was under sanctions at the time.
I said,
right?
under sanctions for 20 years.
Yes.
How did you build this pipe? 20 years under sanctions. And the leaders of Libya said, oh, Congressman, we didn't build that pipe. Well, who did you buy it from? Buy it from Russia? Oh, no, Congressman. Well, then you must have bought it from China. Oh, no, Congressman. Well, who'd you buy this 14-foot high concrete pipe from? Well, we bought it from Halliburton.
Halliburton.
Halliburton. Who was the CEO of Halliburton?
Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney.
Yes.
Dick Cheney was the CEO of Halliburton, selling illegal pipe to Libya while they were under sanctions, right before he became the vice president. That's what's wrong with America.
Wow.
It's got to stop.
So the hypocrisy of putting sanctions and then secretly,
Playing games.
and you saw this yourself.
I saw it in my face. I saw it over and over again. And I can name other names, and I will.
Right.
All they can do is kill me. And again, I'll say it. Kill me, whatever means you use. And every firefighter in America, I want 1,000 trucks around CIA headquarters. I want you to pack CIA headquarters, because that's where it's coming from. Not from the agency. They're good friends of mine that work for the agency. But they're scumbags that have been in control, and they've got to be outed. And they're all rich. They've got big bank accounts. And I've already named them. My friends who are in judges and law enforcement, they all know the names. They have all the details. They can't hide it. It's all coming out. I hope it all comes out in September when my book comes out.
The truth's going to come out.
We got to rock the country, got to rock the world.
Yes. And it's only we're going to set things aside. I mean, if you the conflict between Christians and Muslims is not a conflict. We're all brothers in faith. We look at, people that in the Middle East, they just want to live a good, peaceful life. Saudis, Kuwaitis, Qataris, Bahrainis. You look at the world, this nonsense of putting Muslims as the scapegoats for what the intelligence agencies has been hiding and lying to us about has caused so many lives to be ruined. And this
Ruined,
truth,
deaths. I mean, Gaddafi was acknowledging what he told Bush. Bush accepted it. Condoleezza Rice met with Saif Gaddafi in the U.S. Now, she was the right-hand person to Bush.
so why did Gaddafi have to be?
Because they wanted to control Gaddafi, the sovereign wealth of Libya, and they wanted to control the oil. I went into Libya during the war.
Wow.
I was out of office for 4 years, and Gaddafi's son, Saadi, was in the U.S., and two of his friends from Texas, one who had worked for Bush, named Steve Payne, and one who worked for Biden, named Brian Ettinger, called me, both friends of mine. And Biden was born one mile from me, right here,
Yes, from right here.
next to me. I've known him for 45 years. And they said, Kurt, Saadi Gaddafi's here, and his father wants you to come into Libya. He's ready to step down. I said, well, we're at war. He said, well, will you go? I said, all right, I'll go. I don't want any money. I'll do it. I'm not looking for a consultant fee or anything like most of these idiots are. I just want somebody to pay my airfare. They use frequent flyer miles. And I went with the two of them, and because I didn't trust our agency, I called Larry Menti, who worked for the top TV station in New York, and I said, Larry, will you come with a cameraman? And he came. I took 5 people to Libya. Before I left, I wrote an op-ed for the New York Times. And I said to the New York Times editor, I said, you cannot publish this until I'm in Libya. Because if you publish it in advance, they might not let me in. So you wait till I'm in Libya, then you publish the op-ed, which said, the headline was, Time's Up, Gaddafi. You can Google it. So we went into Libya. We arrived there. The first meeting was with Bashir Saleh, Gaddafi's right-hand man. He said, Congressman, the leader's very happy you're here. He wants to step down with dignity. The next day, Saadi Gaddafi came, and I met with him. Overnight, Brian Ettinger's cell phone rang. And we didn't have any cell phone service in Libya because there was a war going on. You know who was calling, Brian? The White House.
Wow.
And they said, Brian, you're with Weldon? Yes. He said, well, we want Weldon to know this before you have the meeting. We had the meeting with the Prime Minister of Libya, Baghdadi Mahmoudi. I got the letter, pictures of me receiving the letter from Gaddafi, signed by Gaddafi. I dropped it off at our Tunis embassy on the way out to Obama and Hillary Clinton, offering to step down with dignity. But the U.S., not the U.S., these selfish leaders didn't want Gaddafi to step down with dignity. They wanted him dead. They wanted turmoil.
Wow.
They wanted war.
So who benefits from that turmoil?
Who
Obviously not
Look at all the people that
of-
made money.
Mm,
I mean, I can't name any one person.
yes.
The system's got to stop. It's not what America's all about. And that's why, I spend my career now with the firefighters. And around the world, they're not driven by power nor money. They don't go to your house when it's on fire and say, hey, give me $10 and I'll come in.
No.
They don't come to you when you're stuck on the highway and your wife's trapped in a car and dying. They don't say, give me $50 and I'll get her out.
No.
They don't care who you are. I got to stop this nonsense of thinking that our heroes are in Hollywood. They're a bunch of phonies.
Yeah.
Or they're on our ball fields. Or they're certainly not in politics.
No.
Our heroes are in our neighborhoods,
Yes.
in our communities.
Yeah.
And there are 33,000 fire departments in this country working out of 55,000 local stations like the one in this town where I was the chief.
Wow.
They're what make this country strong. Older than America by 40 years. 1736, Ben Franklin formed the first one.
Wow.
And it's time we recognize them this year, and that's what I'm going to do. It's the last thing I do. And for those scumbags that work in the agency that made all the money, your time's up. Your time is coming. You're going to be exposed. Say what you want about me. I don't care. You've already ruined my family. They raided my daughter's house 3 weeks before my last election.
Really?
Yes, Mueller sent agents to my daughter's house with all the TV cameras there. You know,
Why?
no one ever talked to my daughter? No one. No one ever. And the same day they raided her house, they raided a lawyer from my district, a Democrat lawyer, John Gallagher.
Why?
They didn't bother to check John Gallagher at the time. They've been working for the FBI counterintelligence for 2 years. I arranged it. So they apologized to John. And the CIA gave him contracts to keep him quiet.
So they were doing to pressure you to shut up?
Because I was going to be chairman of the Armed Services Committee. And they couldn't control me. 60 members of Congress. I got along with everybody. Democrats were my
Both
close friends. They couldn't control me. They didn't know what to do. They had only thing stop me. And then George Bush the father did a tribute. And any of your listeners, I'm going to give you this to put on your internet. They try to take it down, but they can't. A public tribute to me in front of 2,000 people
Wow.
in Washington, D.C. after I'm out of office. And he says, you know, Kurt, I attended these dinners where 2,000 people would come every year to listen to you for the firefighters. And it's the goal of every leader given the chance to serve in office to leave a legacy. And you've left a legacy of a safer, stronger country.
Wow.
That was from President George H.W. Bush, just weeks after his son's scumbags ended my career.
Wow.
And it's there. And I'll let your people,
For sure. We'll put it up as an editor.
and they can tap onto it themselves and see. I don't want anything except I want us to have a country that is what I taught about when I taught school. We didn't teach people to kill each other.
No.
You know, we taught people, and we didn't have this race baiting
Yeah.
and this, effort to run campaigns by getting one group to be against the other group. That's not what America's all about.
Never.
It's got to stop.
It's got to stop. The truth has to come out. So Libya was attacked and Gaddafi was killed basically because these evil people in doing evil wanted conflict in
The
the
money
world.
changers.
They didn't want the dinar gold standard to come back. They didn't want the Libyan community to flourish. And they wanted turmoil.
Same thing in North Korea.
And they didn't want a united Africa because
I took-
Africa united together
exactly
would be very
right.
powerful.
Exactly right. And I've said that publicly. It's not like I'm not saying it before. I've said it publicly. I took all 3 delegations to North Korea. And why did I do that? Because the White House under Bush came to me and said, the North Koreans are in violation of the agreed framework. I said, well, that's absolutely wrong. They said, well, you take the lead. I said, absolutely. So I publicly challenged North Korea and said, you claim that you want to be peace with us, but you're violating the agreed framework, which the 6 countries were all involved with. So I said to Hadley, who was the security advisor at the time, but I'm going to go tell them that to their face. He said, what do you mean? I said, I'm going to go to North Korea. He said, you can't go to North Korea. So on my own, I took a professor from Temple University, from Drexel, who I knew, Dr. Roy Kim. I took him up to New York with me. We went to the North Korean consulate office at the UN, unannounced, up in the office building, not in the UN building, in their office. I knock on the door of the DPRK headquarters, North Korea. They come to the door, open it slowly, and what do you want? I said, I'm Congressman Kurt Weldon from Pennsylvania. I'm Vice Chairman of the Defense Committee. I want to meet with your lead ambassador here to talk about your country and the fact that we don't want war. Wait a minute. He shuts the door, comes back. Come in. I go in with Roy Kim to the North Korean office at the UN.
Wow.
And I sit down in their lobby. Why are you here? I said, we bombed under President Reagan the home of Muammar Gaddafi because of what they did with the Lockerbie bombing. And that's going to happen to your leader if we don't find a way to achieve peace. And I don't want war. I don't want Americans dead. I don't want your people dead. I get along with South Korea. I get along very well with them. And so that's why I'm here. I want to go to North Korea. He said, well, we don't know, Congressman. I leave. I get a call. They extended an invitation for me to bring a delegation. I took the first delegation to North Korea. 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans. They're all alive, and they'll all verify everything I'm saying. The White House didn't want me to go. They tried to stop me 3 times. We flew into Seoul. We briefed the South Koreans first. Then we flew up to Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea. We met with the North Koreans, and we were very frank with them. The White House and the State Department sent their lead translator with us, Tong Kim, very respectable man. And Tong Kim translated all of our discussions. On the end of the trip, we had a press conference in South Korea, and Tong Kim said positive things about our trip. Do you know what the State Department did?
What did they do?
They fired him.
Wow.
They removed his job because the translator on our trip said positive things that the Congress of the United States, 6 members, had a positive, open discussion with the North Koreans.
So they fired him.
They removed his position.
Yeah, which is firing. Yeah.
And he's still alive. He did an interview in my
What's his name?
Tong Kim.
Tong Kim.
I have an interview in my oral history that he did for 3 hours, so they can't erase it. They can't change what he said. It's all recorded 10 years. That's the one thing I have. I have all this documented beyond me. They can't get rid of it now. It's all preserved, protected. My kids all have multiple copies of the interviews. We went back for a second trip. And I said to the North Koreans, look, you got to tell us what you want. We want you to stop this nuclear program. Your Yongbun reactor has got to be shut down. Same thing with Iran. And the North Koreans said, Congressman, we don't want war with America. To be frank with you, we don't know how to deal with America. We don't trust China. We don't really trust Russia. We don't know what to do. I said, well, let's sit down and come up with some ideas. We come up with a 2-part, 10-point strategy to build pipelines from the Russian Far East, where they have oil and gas, down through China, down through the rail corridor to Panmunjom in South Korea. KOGAS in South Korea was going to buy all the oil and gas and sell it. China had agreed to build the pipeline. I went to their big pipe manufacturer. They agreed. The Russians were anxious to sell the oil and gas. Japan was anxious to be able to buy the oil and gas. Everyone was agreeable. Colin Powell, when they came back, had me brief the State Department and his intelligence people, but the White House didn't want it.
Why?
Because they wanted that bad enemy to justify war.
A boogeyman.
They want the boogeyman. And so I'll give you an example of how outrageous this is. And all the members who went with me will verify everything I'm telling you. We have an annual prayer breakfast in Washington once a year where the members come together, thousands, and people come and pray with the president for world peace and stability. So this one prayer breakfast, I had invited the ambassador from Libya. His name was Ali Ojali to come with his wife, and he said he would come. So I had a table right in the middle of the room. And I get a call a month beforehand from Ambassador Han from the North Korean consulate office at the UN. And he said, Congressman Weldon, you have this event in Washington. I think it's called a prayer breakfast. Ambassador Park and I would like to come with our wives. I said, you want to come to the prayer breakfast? He said, yes. I said, well, you know, Ambassador, it's not a political event. You can't make statements. You can't do a press event. No. We want to come to show that we're serious.
Okay.
I said, okay. You'll sit at my table. Ambassador Han, Ambassador Park, and your wives. A week before the prayer breakfast, he calls me. said, Congressman Walden, I'm very sad. I have bad news. We can't come to the prayer breakfast. I said, why would you do this to me? You asked me to get you approval. You're sitting at my table. Then you say no. He said, well, you have to understand, Congressman. We're not an embassy. We're just a consulate office at the UN for North Korea. And the rules are for us to travel more than 50 miles from New York, we have to have pre-approval from your State Department. When we applied for the permit to travel, they denied us.
Really?
The U.S. State Department denied the travel. I was livid. I hung the phone up and I called the State Department. And at the time, Colin Powell was in office. Great man. Fully respected him. His congressional affairs guy answered the phone and said, Congressman Walden, I know why you're calling. And the secretary supports you, but the White House called us and told us to deny the permit.
Why?
Condi Rice. Condi Rice didn't want the North Koreans at the prayer breakfast.
Wow.
Condi Rice. I'll say it the fourth time. Condi Rice. I'm sick of it.
Well, you have to tell the truth.
No, they don't want the truth. They want to make their money. And that's got to stop.
And now with this war with Iran, do you think this was...
That's why I wrote the book.
Yes.
I wrote the book. I went out to speak in California, where a million Iranians live. I did TV and radio shows into Iran. I offered to debate the Ayatollah. I said, I'll come to Tehran right now. The Iranians translated my book into Farsi. That was okay with me.
Because the government of Iran has been working with the United States in Afghanistan, in Iraq.
Here's what people don't realize, and this is also in my book. When the Shah was in power, the intelligence community of Iran were basically friends with America. Our intelligence agency leaders training the Iranian intelligence. When the Ayatollah took over, they didn't change their intelligence agency. So those connections stayed.
Wow.
And so
you mean the IRC?
Well, the IRG. So what happened?
Iranian Republican Guard was trained by the CIA.
What happened was
the current.
In my book, in one chapter, I document the fact that Bin Laden wasn't in Afghanistan.
And you've got receipts for this.
I have 10 because I could not trust the intelligence agency to give me full information. I had to have a separate group of people that were all work for the agencies that fed me raw data. So I got raw data after 9/11. And I cared about our troops. I went over to Afghanistan after Bush said we're going to send our troops to Afghanistan. I took 2 members of Congress, 3 members, with Al Ciantoli, a Vietnam veteran. We went to Paris. They went to Rome. We met with King Zahir Shah, Iranian king in exile, at his home. I have the pictures. The pictures are on my website. And I said, King, we're sending our troops into your country because we're going to find where Bin Laden is. We want you not to have the tribes not attack our troops. Will you please go back to Afghanistan and convene a Loya Jorga, that's a meeting of all the tribal leaders, and tell them that we're not there to harm them. The king did that. He went back to Kabul. He convened the Loya Jorga, did what I asked him to do. So I did what I could. Then I find out, I get my intel friends come to me and say, Kurt, you won't believe this. We're getting intelligence that Bin Laden was sighted in a town called Ladiz. I don't know where Ladiz is. I know the Middle East well, but I don't know. So I went up the street and bought a map of the Middle East, and I looked all over the map in Afghanistan for Ladiz. I couldn't find it. So I looked over Pakistan. I couldn't find it. I found Ladiz. 10 kilometers inside the border in Baluchistan, Pakistan. So I went to a classified briefing for the Armed Services Committee. Now I'm vice chairman of the committee, 60 members, Democrats and Republicans. I'm vice chairman. And so the chairman wasn't there. So I'm actually the acting chairman of the committee. CIA's at the table. And so I say to them, when it's question time, I have information that Bin Laden's been sighted in a town called Ladiz. And this is their response in a classified meeting in front of all the members of the committee. Mr. Chairman, we've heard similar reports. We can either confirm or deny it.
Wow.
I was ready to jump through the table. While we're sending kids to die in Afghanistan, you can't deny the fact that he could be in Iran. 3 months later, they come back to me, my intel friends, and say, he's being treated at a military hospital outside of Tehran.
Wow. So Osama bin Laden, after the Islamic Revolution of Iran, after the Ayatollah
being treated at a military hospital outside of Tehran.
We're treating Osama bin Laden
military hospital
at the bequest of the United States.
So
U.S. intelligence agencies knew about this.
Absolutely. So I go back to the classified briefing in front of the whole committee, I'm the acting chairman, and I asked the question. I have information that bin Laden's being treated at a military hospital outside of Tehran. And the response? Mr. Chairman, we've heard similar reports. We can either confirm or deny them.
Wow.
Wow. What do I do? What do I do? I'm sending constituent kids over to Afghanistan, and they're telling me he could be in Iran. And then I get a Democrat member of Congress, the most respected Democrat on defense issues, Jack Murtha from Pittsburgh, chairman of Defense Appropriations. He sends Ron Klink. Ron Klink's still alive. We'll verify this, to my office. Because Ron Klink has a knock. You know what a knock is?
No.
It's a person that worked for the agency.
Okay.
They're non-official cover, so they'll deny they ever work, but they work for the agency.
For the Central
Intelligence Agency.
CIA.
So Ron Klink said, Kurt, I have a guy that knows something about Iran, and I have to. Jack Murtha said I should talk to you. I said, okay, Ron, bring him in. He brings the guy in. I still have the guy's name, contact information. It's all documented. I think I have an interview with him. And I said, how can I help you, sir? He said, well, I work for the agency, and I worked in the Middle East part of the world. And he said, Congressman, I need your help. I said, well, why? He said, well, you know, there's a reward for bin Laden. I said, yeah, I know. It's $25 million. He said, well, I know where he is. I said, well, how do you know where he is? He said, because my friends are telling me. He's in Iran.
Wow.
Now, he doesn't know that I know what's going on. I said, he's in Iran? Yeah, he's in Iran. So I want you to help me get to Tehran. I'll leave my credentials there, and I'll go out, and I'll bring him back dead or alive. I said, I can't help you do that now. Now, that's the third source. Then I get a falconer from Maine who's a U.S. citizen. He's a Sikh. And he comes through the Interior Department. And the Interior Department says to me, Congressman Weldon, we have a falconer that wants to meet with you, the head of the International Association of Falconry. Now, that wasn't unusual for me because I was the Republican on the Migratory Bird Commission.
Okay.
I was very active on environmental issues, ocean issues and environmental issues. And the Congress has what's called the Migratory Bird Commission, which oversees all the wetlands where the birds fly. And I was the Republican. John Dingell was a Democrat. There were 2 senators and 3 cabinet members. So this guy wants to talk to you about birds. I said, okay, I'll talk about the birds. I'll listen to what you say. That's my job. So this guy comes in with 2 falcons on his shoulders.
Wow.
Beautiful birds. They had the blinders on them. Like bird. I said, how can I help you? He said, Mr. Chairman, I need you to help me. He said, I've spent my whole life devoted to falcons. I'm from a wealthy family. I'm a U.S. citizen. I spent my whole life training falcons, protecting falcons. I helped write the UN Treaty on falcons. And you know, the Middle Easterners use falcons for their sporting. And he said, I trained the royal family children in the sport of falconry. I said, okay. Well, how can I help you? He said, I want you to help me go to Iran. Why do you want to go to Iran?
Why?
He says, because my falconers are seeing bin Laden's birds flying in Iran.
Wow.
I said, really? He said, so you help me go there. They'll accept me there. They all know me.
Yeah.
I'll tag his birds, and I'll take the U.S. to exactly where he is.
Wow.
I have 10 silver bullets, including a member of the Kuwaiti royal family and the Saudi royal family, who confirmed to me that bin Laden was in Iran. Then I had the ultimate person who worked for the agency for 50 years. And I won't give any more details about him. I don't want to risk his health because he's probably 80 now. But I met him through another person that worked with him, all doing good. There are many, many good people in our agencies. And I don't want to make this sound like I'm anti. We need good intelligence.
Of course.
And I don't want
to.
I don't want to create a broad sweep. They are heroes for what they put up with. And we don't know the half of it. So for all you intel people out there putting up with this stuff, I'm behind you 100%. You're not the problem. And I want you to not think about that somehow I'm casting an aspersion against you. It's only the scumbags making the money at the top that I'm after. They're the only ones. And they know who they are. They got the big bank accounts. And they'll screw anybody they can to hurt other people. So he said to me, he called me my dear. He said, my dear, he said, after I met with him probably 20 times, he's been to my home. He said, you know, you're right about so many things in your work in Congress. He said, in the Middle East, he was born in Jordan. And he's Palestinian.
Okay.
And he's 2 PhDs.
Wow.
Very bright man. He said, but you were right about one thing. I said, what was that? He said, bin Laden. He said, where he was? He said, he was in Iran.
Wow.
I said, how do you know that? He said, I was in the room when the deal was cut.
The deal between...
And the deal wasn't cut with Ahmadinejad, the leader of Iran.
Wow.
The deal was cut with Soleimani.
Soleimani, the one
now,
that
what Trump doesn't understand is, in my opinion, the reason we killed Soleimani was because they knew he was the one that the U.S. cut the deal with.
So the U.S. intelligence agency or some of the evil actors
The U.S.
within it
agents that arranged for the deal to be cut with Soleimani to place bin Laden in
were working
Baluchistan.
with the
That's right.
current
That's exactly
Iranian
right.
regime,
100%.
with their CIA asset, who was Osama bin Laden, to protect him, to take him for medical treatment, and to have him safe in Iran.
1,000%.
While our American soldiers were invading Afghanistan,
And 2,500 came home in body bags.
2,500 American
And 3,500
soldiers were there.
Americans, civilians that were contractors, including 18 CIA agents, came home in body bags from Afghanistan looking for bin Laden
because of these lies.
because of the lies.
And bin
So the
Laden-
total loss of life from 9/11 is over 7,000 people.
And that's just American lives.
Just
If we
American
talk
lives.
about Iraqi lives,
It's got to stop.
Afghani lives,
It's got to
millions.
stop.
So millions of lives were lost.
And what has the media done about this? Nothing.
Nothing.
You know why? 10 years ago, one of my biggest supporters and friends is Dennis Kucinich. Big Democrat.
We know him, yes.
Good guy. And Dennis said to me, Kurt, you know, a lot of us know on our side you got screwed by what they did to you, but would you meet with a reporter friend of mine? I said, Dennis, I don't want any stories of what they did to my family. He said, no, you got to tell the story. I said, with who? I said, I'll talk to somebody, but on the mandate that they can't report it. All right, he said. He said, who? I said, who is it? He said, Seymour Hersh. Seymour Hersh is the #1 investigative reporter in America.
Wow.
He did the Pentagon Papers. Now he's 80 years old. I just talked to him a couple of weeks ago. So I agreed to meet with him in the hotel in Washington. I think it was the Mayflower. So we get down there. He has a private room. It's just he and I for 2 hours. I tell him what I know. I show him some charts. He looks at me and he said, Congressman, you have one hell of a story. But it's your story. I know. I said, well, all I can tell you is my story. He said, I have good access in the agencies. Can we meet again? I said, sure. So he had some health problem in between. We met 4 months later. And I still have all the communications from him, and I still talk to him. And he said, 4 months later, I verified every fact and detail you told me.
Wow.
Everything you told me, I verified. He said, you were taken out of office. He said, Mueller was asked to do a favor by, Mueller was asked to do a favor by Brennan and Clapper to disrupt your election because you were going to become chairman of the Armed Services Committee.
Wow.
So Mueller sent a lawyer up to your daughter's house 3 weeks before the election. The same lawyer, by the way, that cut the plea bargain for Sandy Berger.
Wow.
When Sandy Berger stole the committed 11 felonies, he got 1 misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Same lawyer. And he said, I verified all this, Congressman. He said that they wanted you out. And he said, the White House had to approve it. And that was under a Republican administration. I said, I know that.
Wow.
Because George Bush was the president. So here I am, the vice chairman of the Defense Committee, vice chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, and I'm being taken out 3 weeks before my election by the Bush administration.
By a Republican.
By a Republican, because they weren't really in control. It was people like Cheney and Rumsfeld and Rove and Rice that wanted me out.
Condoleezza Rice.
And they wanted me out because they didn't want me to become chairman. And there were some people in Intel that I won't name here because that's an investigation. It's rapidly underway, and I have the names. They actually threatened people. One guy that died was threatened by a former CIA counterintel leader. I have all that documented. And I hope they're shaking in their feet or else they kill me. And it'll come out if they do because they're scumbags. They're not American patriots. They got their CIA awards, but they're not patriots. They're scums. They don't deserve to wear the American flag on their shirt.
Yes.
They didn't do this for the country. They did it for themselves to make money because they're all wealthy.
And they're making millions.
They're making millions. They're up in New York in their big offices. We're the experts on foreign policy. They're crap.
They're the one that
And
caused...
so what happened, Cy says to me, and the charts that you showed me, that they denied when you gave them the White House after 9/11, that Steve Hadley denied, knew you gave them charts, couldn't remember what they were. He said, they're still on the hard drive at the NSA. They're still there.
Wow.
He said, but Congressman, you have to understand, no producer will be allowed to tell your story. No publisher will be allowed to tell your story. Doesn't matter that it's true.
There's certain...
That was from Cy, because I was taking on the system.
So there's
Because
certain interests, certain lobbies
that's what's
that
wrong
would
with
block you.
we've lost control of the country to people that don't reflect what America's all about.
Wow.
You know, it's out of control.
So the mainstream media will not air facts. They will hide it from the American people.
They will play along with the game, and they'll go along. And you know, and it's Fox News is just as bad as the other mainstream media. They'll only go so far. They're all corrupted, and it's a sad thing. I mean, I have good friends, you know, and I didn't talk for 20 years. I kept quiet.
So this current conflict that we're in right now, as the United States and with Iran, there was no reason for it. There was no reason.
Well, let me give you the story. First of all, I was the point person for Russia. I've been to Russia probably 60 times.
Wow.
I formed the Duma Congress with their parliament,
Okay.
organized by Speaker Gingrich. The Democrat co-chair was Steny Hoyer, a really good member. Steny's still in Congress. Steny and I co-chaired the Duma Congress. I was also the co-chair of the Rada Congress, the Ukrainian parliament. Marcy Kaptur was my co-chair, a good woman still in Congress.
Okay.
We met regularly. There was never a problem between either country.
Ukraine and Russia.
Never a problem. We never faced the potential of a war. That was all concocted.
By who?
I mean, we met with parliamentarians from both countries on a continual basis. I have pictures of us meeting in Washington, the Duma and the Rada together. And I'll give you a story about Iran. One of my biggest concerns with Russia is they were the supplier of nuclear material to Iran.
Okay.
Iran couldn't build it on their own.
Never.
The Soviets had a big, strong nuclear program, and the lead nuclear institute in Russia was Kurchatov Institute. Now, when I went to Congress, the two leaders in the Congress were Sam Nunn and Dick Lugar. Sam Nunn, Democrat from Georgia, Dick Lugar, Republican from Indiana. Good guys. The Nunn-Lugar program to decrease Russia's nuclear stockpile. So I followed their lead. I became friends with them. I went on trips with them. The point person in Russia was a guy named Yevgeny Velikov. Dr. Velikov ran Kurchatov Institute. Kurchatov was the birthplace of Russia's nuclear weapon. So that was the key institute, the leader, and he was accepted in the U.S. because he was trying to do what we wanted, decrease the reliance on nuclear weapons in Russia and here in America. Well, remember the famous picture interview of George Bush after he met with Putin for the first time? And you can Google this, so anybody that challenged me, Google it. Google this quote. George Bush, after he met with Putin, said, "I looked in his eyes, and I saw his inner soul, and I realized this is a man I could trust." George Bush said that.
I remember that quote, yeah.
That's his quote. So I am a member of Congress saying, well, I'm the co-chairman of Duma Congress. If this president believes that, he's got better intelligence than I do, I'm going to help him. I went to Steny. We brought in all the top think tanks in America that do Russian-American relations. And I said to them, I want you to produce a document of what programs exist between the Russian people and the American people. Nonprofits, healthcare, education, environment, agriculture, energy, all of those. There were hundreds of them. State Department wouldn't help me. So I said, you do it. These are like Monterey Institute, Harvard University, very classy organizations. I have the whole list in the document. And your people could get a copy of the document. I'll give it to you to give out.
For sure.
They produced a 48-page document called New Time, New Beginning. I didn't write it. They did, these experts. When I finished it, I said to my staff, I want to give this to Putin and Bush before they meet for the second time and show them that the Congress wants to help them. So I said, I want to get, first of all, the Congress to endorse it, not me. I'm just one member. And I'll get the Russian Duma to endorse it. And so we finished the document, 48 pages, 108 recommendations in 12 areas. I said, I want to go over to the Senate. I want to get 3 senators. I'm looking to get Dick Lugar, top Republican on foreign affairs.
Okay.
Carl Levin is the chairman of the Senate Defense Committee, very powerful man. And Joe Biden, chairman of foreign affairs. All 3 signed the front page with me.
Wow.
I have their signatures. If your listeners want a copy of it, you can see the signatures.
For sure.
I went back to the House. 250 members of Congress signed the document.
Wow.
Now listen very carefully. Bernie Sanders signed the document. Mike Pence signed the document.
Wow. Vice President, right?
From Bernie Sanders to Mike Pence, from the most liberal to the most conservative, said, yeah, we want to do this. We want to work together. Both parties. The Russian Duma passed unanimously. I give it to Bush and Putin, but the people around Bush didn't want that. the neocons, the hardliners. They didn't want Russia to be our friend. They didn't want Russia to partner with us. They didn't want to have this new chance for. And look, I was the toughest person. My first amendment in Congress was to hold Russia accountable for violating the ABM treaty. And it passed 418-0. So I wasn't some pawn for the Russians.
But there are people that wanted that conflict between Russia and Ukraine.
They wanted that enemy to be there. So what happened? I went to the Russia. I said, you've got to, you know, one of the big problems we have over there is we don't trust what you've done with Iran with nuclear. You've been giving Iran nuclear material, and they have a nuclear program. And so I said to Yevgeny Velgo, I said, Yevgeny, you know, you've got to stop. He said, Kurt, meet with the head of Ministry of Atomic Energy. So I said, okay. So I brought members of Congress, including 2 existing senators. I'll show you the photograph. It's on my website. Roger Wicker and Lindsey Graham were both with me. I led the delegation to Moscow. We met with the Minister of Atomic Energy, demanding that they stop helping Iran potentially build nuclear weapons.
Okay.
And he said, Congressman, you know, we've already got these relationships in place. I said, but it's got to stop. Came back, we really weren't happy. I kept pushing the issue. Finally, Velikov comes to my office in 2003. He said, Court, call me Court. I've talked to Putin. He wants to get this process moving. He's not happy with Bush. So he's authorized me to tell you that he will accept a bilateral 50-50 between the U.S. and Russia, where the U.S. will have equal oversight of any and all fissile material going into Iran.
Okay, that's great.
And we turned them down.
America?
America.
Why?
That's the $64,000 question. We turned them down.
So somebody wanted that conflict. Somebody wanted that boogeyman of the Muslim image.
All I can tell you is what I have factually, what I have documented, and what people who are with me saw. And I have the largest archives in House history, and I have the largest oral history, and the interviews weren't done by me. The past president of the National Association of Oral Historians did 100 hours of interviews. They can't erase them.
So even right now, this story that we're being told that Iran was weeks away from making a nuclear weapon and we couldn't stop it are lies.
Well, not only that, it's not only that. What my concern, even beyond the nuclear weapon, was, and my original concerns, which were very public in the late 90s, both the U.S. and the Soviet Union have built what are called small atomic demolition munitions. They're referred to as suitcase nukes, small handheld devices. We built them, and they built them. So as the chairman of the Oversight Committee for Technology, I got into that, and I said, hey, so the U.S. confirmed to me, we know where all of ours are.
Okay.
When I went over to the Russians, they were very honest with me. General Lebed, and then the Russian Mikhailov, and the others said, we'll be honest with you, Congressman, we couldn't account for about 180 of them.
Whoa,
my concern...
180?
180, small atomic demolition munitions. My concern was, because Russia had been the supplier of nuclear fuel to Iran, that it would not be too much out of the ordinary that one or more of those loose nukes would have gotten to Iran.
That is scary.
And you get a loose nuke in Iran's hands, where the shelf life has 50, 60 years, all you got to do is worry about the detonator, the activator, which they could increase themselves. You move one of those into the U.S., you take out a city. That's still a concern of mine. When I went to the Clinton administration to raise the issue, they didn't want to talk about it. They wouldn't, because they didn't want to offend Yeltsin, because Yeltsin was our crony there at the time. We were sucking money out of Yeltsin left and right. When I say we, the leaders in Washington were sucking money out of Yeltsin.
Yeltsin?
Yeltsin, absolutely. Sucking money out of Yeltsin. That's when I threw the station chief out of the meeting in Moscow.
So in the end, Trump, Clinton, Bush, in the end, they're just trying to make
What
money.
Trump needs to do is have a frank meeting with Putin about the U.S. and Russia together overseeing what Iran has.
But we already offered that by the Russians.
Well,
as to join.
I can't, I don't have access to to Trump to talk about that, but Russia offered that to us. I'm aware of it in 2003, 2004.
You were part of those negotiations.
It was through me.
So the Iranian government also has been working with the United States in an intelligence place, meaning helping us with setting up false flag missions with Osama bin Laden, with Afghanistan, in the invasion of Iraq. So why this war now? Who's benefiting from this?
I don't know. For the first time in my life, I'm worried about the country and the future. Again, we have good people that work in our agencies and our military, great people, great patriots. And we have great people that work in our intelligence, friends of mine. Jim Woolsey was one of my closest friends, and I did business with him for a while until the last 5 years. I haven't seen him lately. It's only a small handful.
Yes.
And every organization has one or two people that think when they get power hungry and they think they can do whatever they want because they have a position, and they are bad. They are very bad. And everyone's afraid to take them on because they have that power around them they can manipulate.
People like Epstein, people that have been in the background.
And there are people that are U.S. citizens like that. And
Epstein was a
I've
US
already named them. I have them already identified. They know who they are, and they know by me mentioning this on programs like yours.
Right.
So it's not just me hiding all this. I've already given this information
Really-
to the former deputy director of the FBI. He's a
Really
good friend of mine.
appreciate you coming and
Judges.
speaking these facts.
Well,
And this information cannot be hidden. Once
what
it's
we
on the
can't
internet.
do, we're not going to resolve these problems by rioting
Right.
and by uproars and by yelling at each other and by threatening each other. That's got to stop. And if I have a chance to meet with Mayor Mamdani,
Yes.
who I respect, he's got to tone it down and understand, look, if we're going to get through this together, we've got to do it as a partnership. And if there's going to be a new study of 9/11, he should be there with us.
Yes.
Because the only truth can only be positive for the Muslim community.
It is for sure because we have been villainized.
Now you can imagine
we've been made the boogeyman
imagine
for
what
all
the
these
extent of that
times.
would be.
Yes,
if he
for
stands next
sure.
to Donald Trump calling for a new 9/11 commission.
And we need that because these
Absolutely.
facts show the official story was a lie. Those firefighters that went in spoke about these were lies.
Firefighters don't lie.
Firefighters do not lie.
Firefighters will take.
They
They'll take
they
all
risked
the
their
blame.
lives, and in fact, they gave their lives.
And most of them in this country are volunteers.
343 firefighters lost their lives, and their truth has to be told. Those planes did not take
I won't
down
stop.
those buildings.
I won't stop until their history. Ray Downey and I worked together for 8 years after the '93 attack, and Ray was a Marine, had served in the Marine Corps before he was in the fire department. Ray's son Joe has his father's job today. He's the rescue chief in New York, and I met with Ray last year. I met with him 3 or 4 times, and their grandson, his son, is a member of the fire department. It's a family tradition.
Wow.
I won't stop until we give them the truth. The truth did not come out in the 9/11 Commission.
Those were lies.
The fact that they ruined the careers of military officers who were simply telling the truth of what they did, and it's not one.
And millions of Americans, Muslim Americans, were demonized. My mother was attacked, my own family, and the Muslim world, Saudi Arabia, was blamed and based on lies. Things that the American people now see somebody from the Congress of the United States who had all the access to all the intelligence with the top intelligence officials of the time saying these were lies.
But you look at the extent of what they'll do. They knew what I would have done had I become chairman. So in my 2006 election, all my elections were landslides because I'm a very bipartisan person.
Yes.
And we were ahead in the polls, and they were spending tons of money. All the Clinton cronies and Democrat liberals were spending it. My own party, I didn't know that at the time, at the White House was against me. 3 weeks before my election, agents arrived at my daughter's house at 7 o'clock in the morning with all the cameras there, took boxes out. It became a national story. Weldon must be a crook. His wife, his daughter must be a crook. No one ever talked to my daughter.
Never.
Never.
Wow.
Nothing. Now, and that same day they raided the lawyer's house, and the counter intel people went to his office to protect him because he was working for the FBI.
Wow.
And they never bothered to check. This is America. So he had 2 sets of FBI agents in the same office. One protecting him at counter intel against Russia. The other one sent by Mueller in Washington, scumbags. And you know what their first question was? Well, Mr. Gallagher, isn't it true that you're related to Congressman Kurt Weldon?
Wow, that's the first thing they asked.
Gallagher starts laughing at it. He said, you came all the way from Washington. You're from the FBI. And the first question you ask me is, and this is all on tape, am I related to Congressman Kurt Weldon because his wife's name is Gallagher? Maiden name is Gallagher?
Wow.
I knew who told him that. And that person will be held accountable. We have it documented. It's noted. And that person was the reason. And that person got a job. That person got a job. And that person got a job from a CIA operative. It's all documented.
Who's this person?
I'm not going to name the person.
Okay.
They know who I'm talking
They
about.
know who it is.
And they'll get it through your show.
We'll get them.
They're scumbags. Scumbags of the highest degree.
That have caused.
They think they're protected. You're not protected. You're not protected. Say what you want about me. Do what you want. It's all documented. It's all put aside. I've briefed everyone, including the Justice Department, including the legal people, the judicial side, my family. Everyone knows.
we really,
So they end my career. I have nothing I could do. Then George Bush does the tribute to me. I mean, does a tribute to me. If I'm some bad person, why would the father, who was the former head of the CIA,
yeah. George H.W. Bush.
why would he do a public tribute to me in front of 2,000 people
Right.
just a few weeks later? And then we find a memo that my staff got that the Democrat opponent of mine had a TV buy each week before the election, $500,000 a week for the Philadelphia media market, a lot of money. But for some reason, in the third week of October, the media buy went down to almost zero. Now, we didn't know why they would cut the media buy that much. This memo was from September. That was the week they raided my daughter's house, which meant they notified the campaign that the third week of October we're going to raid Walden's daughter's house, so you don't need to buy any TV time.
Wow.
We have the memo.
They had planned it out to silence you.
Well, because they didn't need it, because they would have got all the earned media.
Yeah.
They didn't need to buy TV ads.
Yeah.
So the FBI, they all knew, and they gave it to the campaign committee of my opponent, who's a loser.
Yeah.
And his wife worked for the intelligence agency. Still does.
Wow.
This is not America. This is not the America
No.
that, and if I do something wrong, then you got to
We should all be held
come and
accountable.
confront me. Tell me, Kurt, you're doing this wrong, or don't play these silly, because what it does, it discourages every other person who wants to run for office.
Yes.
And it causes, what they do, what really bugs me is the leadership, and again, I want to make this distinction, not the agency itself, the leadership, they want the members fighting with each other. They like when their members are calling each other's names, because then they can do what they want.
Yeah.
So if the members are spending all their time yelling at each other, then the government's doing whatever it wants.
And so we see this facade today, even on the world scale. You see Iran making false threats and other countries. And in reality, as you're telling us, the intelligence agencies in the United States and Iran were working together. So we are, as American people and the world audience, are being sold this fake boogeyman of Islam and fundamentalism, when in reality, it's these bad players in the intelligence agencies that are the ones behind 9/11. They're the ones behind the bombing of the U.S. Cole, as you talked about. They're the ones that knew Osama bin Laden wasn't in Afghanistan, but started the longest war in American history. Millions of Afghanis that lost their lives, thousands of Americans that lost their lives, knowing that these were all based on lies.
18 sailors in the Cole died.
Yes.
And I have now the physical evidence that a month beforehand, we knew there was going to be an attack against an American asset in the port of Aden, Yemen. For some reason, they didn't want that known. I guess they wanted that attack to occur because that was justification for more
False
war.
flags. Yeah.
So anyway, I appreciate the show, and all I would say is
appreciate
this is
you
the year of the
coming.
firefighter, 290th anniversary. For the firefighters of America, they represent what America's all about. They care about the country. Make sure you thank your firefighter in your local community.
sure.
And hopefully, as the fall arrives and my book comes out, we'll tell this story to the rest of the world.
Well,
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate you coming on the show, and we appreciate your telling the truth. We have a gift for you as well. This is from Mecca itself for the Holy City. And
Thank you.
These are special pictures. And we have a copy of the Quran for you.
Oh,
from
thank you very
us.
much.
And
Thank you.
We really appreciate you coming and speaking the truth. And we stand with you as the Muslim people from the Middle East to Malaysia to the world to bring the truth to the world.
We're all
Thank you
humans.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.